Hey everybody, Games Apprentice back with another Evercade video, and this week I'm going to be looking at the Xeno Crisis Tanglewood collection. Let's check it out. Xeno Crisis is a game that I'd heard about a lot, but I'd never seen or played before. I didn't really know what it was, but I'd seen the box art everywhere. It's pretty much been released on everything since the Kickstarter project releasing it on Sega's 16-bit beauty back in 2019. It's a twin-stick shooter that I assume only worked with the 6-button pad on the Mega Drive, but works perfectly with the layout of the Evercade, with the face buttons controlling the direction of the shot just like Smash TV. Speaking of which, it's hard not to mention Smash TV when talking about Xeno Crisis, as it feels like it was heavily inspired by it. Aside from the controls, just like Smash TV, you enter a room of enemies that come through various doors. You need to kill them all so the doors open, allowing you to progress. Eventually you make your way through a maze-like complex to take on the giant boss to clear the area. Very familiar. Where it differs from Smash TV is that you've also got a button to throw a bomb and a button to execute a dive roll, making you much more manoeuvrable. Your gun consumes ammo, forcing you to have to move towards danger to pick up more crates. After each level, you can use any dog tags you found to purchase upgrades for your character, and levels are procedurally generated, making each playthrough feel a bit different. It's a fun game that looks and feels like a high-quality Mega Drive game. It's also very difficult. That might be a positive thing for you, or it might be a negative. But seeing much beyond the first 2 or 3 levels will take some practice. Now personally, I'd rather see Smash TV on the Evercade and play that, as I do think this one's missing a little bit of charm. Whereas Smash TV had a sort of Running Man vibe to it, this game's fairly generic in that it's just army guys shooting monsters. You've seen it a million times before. Some games are so forgettable on the Evercade that when people mention them, I have to go back and watch my footage to remind myself that I even played them. On the other hand, some games are so bad and so antagonising that I couldn't forget them if I tried. Very rarely though, I'll come across a game that appeals so perfectly to all my senses that I'll remember it for a long time to come. Tanglewood is very much that game. Originally a Kickstarter project, Tanglewood was released on the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis for my friends across the pond in 2018. It's a puzzle platformer similar to something like Limbo. You control a fox, and with it being developed for the Mega Drive, you've got 3 buttons. Jump and push an object are all you can do most of the time. However, once you push one of these coloured fuzz fellas into the light, you're granted a new power. They come in 3 different colours: yellow, granting you the ability to glide; blue, granting you the ability to tame beasts; and green, allowing you to slow down time. You're also able to use red ones too as batteries to power contraptions. Visually, the game looks great, with levels alternating between night and day. Combine it with a beautiful soundtrack and it creates a really immersive experience that feels similar to that of Ori and the Blind Forest. The gameplay is fun, with challenging puzzles to overcome, made all the more difficult by the size of some of the areas. Overall, it's fairly similar to Limbo in length, with the main thing slowing you down being death and trying to solve puzzles. To add extra playtime, there are collectibles in the form of fireflies scattered throughout the levels too. Tanglewood is definitely one of the better games on the Evercade, and unless you've got a Steam Deck, it's probably the only way to play it handheld too. Check it out. Now, I'm still not a big fan of indie game collections coming to the Evercade. I'd hate to see all the same games that you see on other platforms come here as well. But seeing as though both these games came to the Mega Drive first, it seems forgivable. They're both good games, with Tanglewood probably being the better of the two. That being said, it's hard not to judge the cat on the lack of games on here. Sure, these games are a bargain compared to what they are on Steam, but Evercade fans are used to a certain variety and you can't help but feel shortchanged, especially if you're just not into one of them that much. The games are good, but they're hardly all-time greats. For that reason, I'm going to score this cat a 7 out of 10.